What's meant for you will come. 5 Buddhist truths to understand instead of forcing things. What if the very thing you are desperately chasing is already trying to find its way toward you, but your fear, impatience, and need for control are preventing you from recognizing it? There are moments in life when everything inside you wants to push harder. You believe that if you send one more message, work one more hour, explain yourself one more time, or hold on just a little longer, the door will finally open. You tell yourself that surrender would mean weakness, that patience would mean falling behind, and that letting go would mean losing the future you have imagined. And yet, the harder you force certain things, the farther away they seem to move. A relationship becomes colder beneath the pressure of your expectations. An opportunity disappears while you are trying to control every possible outcome. A dream that once filled you with wonder begins to feel like a stone you must carry. Even your prayers for a better life become restless demands whispered into the silence. Perhaps you know this exhaustion. Perhaps you have spent months knocking on a door that refuses to open. Perhaps you have been trying to convince someone to recognize your worth. Perhaps you are watching other people receive what you have been waiting for, while your own path appears quiet and empty. And in the loneliness of that waiting, a painful question begins to rise within you. What if nothing is coming for me? But the ancient wisdom of Buddhism offers a different question. What if this season is not empty? What if life is not denying you, but preparing you? What if the closed door, the delay, the silence, and even the loss are not signs that you have been forgotten, but invitations to stop forcing what cannot yet unfold? Before we continue this journey together, take one slow breath. If these words have found you at a moment when you need them, subscribe to Buddhist Wisdom and write this simple affirmation in the comments. I trust what is unfolding for me. Do not write it as a promise that life will obey your plans. Write it as a gentle reminder that your peace does not have to wait for everything to make sense. Now imagine that you are standing beside a river at dawn. The mountains are still covered in blue mist. The forest has not fully awakened. A single bird calls from somewhere beyond the trees, and the surface of the water reflects the pale light of the rising sun. You reach into the river and try to hold the current between your hands. For one brief moment, the water gathers in your palms. But the tighter you close your fingers, the faster it escapes. This is how many people move through life. They try to possess love before it has learned to breathe. They try to secure success before they have grown strong enough to carry it. They try to hold people, identities, plans, and promises as though tightening their grip could protect them from impermanence. But life is a river. It cannot be imprisoned without losing its living nature. The river does not reach the ocean by fighting every stone. It bends, it waits, it gathers strength in quiet places. Sometimes it moves swiftly through a narrow valley, and sometimes it becomes almost still beneath the shadow of ancient trees. Yet it continues. To stop forcing life does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean abandoning your responsibilities, ignoring your dreams, or waiting helplessly for fate to rescue you. A farmer does not sit beside an empty field and call his inaction trust. He prepares the soil, he plants the seed, he brings water when the rains are late. But after doing what can be done, he does not dig up the earth every morning to see whether the seed has begun to grow. He understands something the anxious mind forgets. Growth requires effort, but it also requires darkness, silence, and time. Many of your deepest struggles may not come from the absence of what you desire. They may come from your belief that it should have arrived already. The mind creates a schedule for life. By this age, I should be successful. By now, I should have found love. After all my effort, I should have been rewarded. Because I was kind, they should have stayed. Because I suffered, the next chapter should be easier. When reality refuses to follow this hidden schedule, the ego experiences the delay as an insult. It looks around and compares. It sees someone else's sunrise and assumes its own night will last forever. It sees a flower blooming in another garden and becomes ashamed of its own unopened bud. But no lotus is humiliated by the early blooming of another lotus. Deep beneath the water, each root is responding to conditions invisible from the surface. One flower may open beneath the morning sun. Another may need several more days of warmth. Their different timing does not determine their worth. There was once a young monk who lived in a quiet monastery near a bamboo forest. He had entered the temple with a sincere heart, but he was impatient to become wise. Every morning, he watched the elder master walk slowly beneath the trees, his face peaceful and his movements effortless. The young monk wanted that serenity. He wanted it immediately. He meditated longer than everyone else. He ate less. He slept little. He memorized teachings and repeated them until his voice became hoarse. Whenever painful thoughts appeared, he pushed them away. Whenever anger arose, he condemned himself for not being peaceful enough. After many months, he became exhausted. One evening, during a violent storm, he found the elder master sitting beneath the temple roof, listening to rain fall upon the stones. "Master," the young monk said, "I have tried harder than anyone, yet peace continues to escape me. What am I doing wrong?" The elder master looked toward the bamboo bending in the wind. "Do you see those trees?" he asked. The young monk nodded. The rigid branch is already breaking. The bamboo survives because it does not argue with the storm. The young monk looked down. "Then should I stop trying?" The master smiled. "Stop trying to become peaceful. Begin noticing what prevents you from being at peace." For the first time, the young monk saw that his spiritual effort had become another form of violence against himself. He was not practicing acceptance. He was trying to conquer his own humanity. He had turned peace into an achievement and meditation into a battlefield. That night, he sat quietly, without demanding anything from his mind. Thoughts came, and he allowed them to come. Restlessness appeared, and he felt it without shame. The storm continued beyond the temple walls, but something within him stopped resisting. His thoughts did not disappear. His life did not suddenly become perfect. Yet beneath the movement of his mind, he discovered a small space that had always been there. A space that did not need to control the storm in order to remain whole. This is the first understanding that begins to free you. Suffering grows when your desire becomes a demand. Desire itself is not your enemy. It is natural to want companionship, stability, healing, purpose, and meaningful work. Buddhism does not ask you to become cold or indifferent. Non-attachment does not mean that you stop loving. It means that you stop telling life, "I can only be whole if this happens exactly as I want." There is a vast difference between holding a dream in open hands and closing your fists around it. Open hands can work, create, receive, and release. Closed fists can only struggle. When you attach your identity to a particular outcome, every delay feels like a judgment of your worth. If the person does not choose you, you believe you are unlovable. If the opportunity does not arrive, you believe you are a failure. If your plan changes, you believe your life has gone wrong. But an outcome is an event. It is not your identity. A closed door does not describe your value. A person's inability to love you does not measure your capacity to be loved. A season of uncertainty does not mean that you have no path. The moon remains whole even when clouds hide it from view. In the same way, your worth remains whole when circumstances prevent you from seeing it. The task, then, is not to force the clouds away. It is to remember what remains behind them. For a few moments, bring awareness to something you are trying to control. Perhaps it is a relationship, a decision, a financial concern, a family problem, or a future you fear may never arrive. Notice what happens in your body when you think about it. Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders raised? Is your breathing shallow? Does your chest feel as though it is protecting itself from an invisible blow? Do not judge these sensations, simply notice them. Mindfulness begins when you stop running from what is present. It is the quiet courage to sit beside your own experience without immediately trying to repair, suppress, or escape it. When fear is observed with compassion, it begins to lose its authority. When longing is held gently, it no longer has to scream. Take a slow breath and silently say, "This is what I am feeling." Then breathe out and say, "I do not have to become this feeling." You are the sky, not the passing storm. You are the awareness in which fear appears, changes, and eventually dissolves. No emotion remains forever. No season has the power to stop the movement of time. This is impermanence, not a reason for despair, but one of life's most merciful truths. Because things change, pain can soften. Because things change, roads can appear where you once saw only walls. Because things change, the person you are today does not have to carry the same fears forever. And because things change, what is truly suited to the person you are becoming may need time to reach you. A seed does not resent winter. Somewhere beneath the frozen ground, life is preparing without applause. Roots are forming where no one can see them. The silence above the earth is not evidence of death. It is part of the process through which the next season becomes possible. Perhaps your life is like that now. Perhaps beneath what appears to be delay, roots are growing. Perhaps beneath what appears to be delay, roots are growing. And roots are never in a hurry to be seen. They do not compare themselves with flowers. They do not rise toward applause before they are strong enough to support what will eventually blossom. They move quietly through the darkness, searching for nourishment, deepening their hold upon the earth, preparing to carry a life that has not yet revealed itself. In the same way, some of the most important preparation in your life is happening where no one can see it. Every disappointment is teaching you something about attachment. Every season of solitude is showing you whether you can remain present with yourself. Every unanswered question is expanding your patience. Every ending is clearing away an identity that no longer fits the person you are becoming. You may call it waiting, but life may call it preparation. This does not mean that every desire will be fulfilled exactly as you imagine. Buddhist wisdom does not offer the comforting illusion that the universe is obligated to deliver every object of your longing. Sometimes, what is meant for you is not the thing you requested, but the clarity that arrives when you no longer receive it. Sometimes, the gift is not the relationship, but the self-respect you discover after walking away. Sometimes, the gift is not the promotion, but the courage to create a different path. Sometimes the gift is not the return of what was lost, but the freedom that appears when you stop living beside an empty doorway. The ego recognizes gifts only when they arrive in familiar wrapping. Wisdom learns to recognize them in endings, delays, detours, and silence. There was once a traveler who crossed a mountain range in search of a famous monastery. He had heard that an old master living there could answer the deepest questions of the human heart. The journey was difficult. The traveler climbed through cold rain, slept beneath cedar trees, and followed narrow paths along the edges of cliffs. For years, he had carried one question: how can I make life give me what I deserve? He believed the master would reveal a secret method, perhaps a meditation or sacred phrase that would allow him to shape circumstances according to his will. When he finally reached the monastery, he found the old master sweeping fallen leaves from a stone courtyard. The traveler bowed and asked his question. The master continued sweeping. The traveler waited. After several minutes, he repeated himself more loudly. "Master, how can I make life give me what I deserve?" The old man stopped, leaned upon his broom, and asked, "When you crossed the mountains, did you command them to become smaller?" "No," the traveler answered. "Did you order the rain to stop?" "No." Did you force the path to become straight? No. Then how did you arrive? The traveler thought for a moment. I adjusted my steps. The master smiled and returned to his sweeping. At first, the traveler felt disappointed. He had expected something more mysterious. But as evening descended upon the monastery and the sound of a wooden bell moved through the valley, he began to understand. Peace does not come from forcing the mountain to change. It comes from learning how to place your feet upon the path that exists. This is the second understanding. What belongs in your life must meet the reality of who you are, not merely the fantasy of what you want. Many people do not truly desire the thing itself. They desire the feeling they believe it will give them. You may say that you want success, but perhaps what you deeply want is the feeling of being respected. You may say that you want a particular person, but perhaps you want the feeling of being chosen. You may say that you need more money, but beneath that desire may live a longing for safety, dignity, or freedom. You may dream of recognition because some wounded part of you still believes visibility will prove that you matter. There is nothing shameful about these longings. They reveal where your heart needs compassionate attention. But when you remain unaware of the deeper need, you begin chasing outer forms as though only one person, one opportunity, or one outcome could ever satisfy it. Your world becomes painfully narrow. You stand before one locked gate while life opens 10 others behind you. Self-awareness allows you to turn around. Ask yourself gently, what do I believe this desired outcome will finally allow me to feel? Do not rush to answer. Let the question descend into you like a stone sinking through clear water. If you believe love will make you worthy, can you begin treating yourself as worthy now? If you believe success will give you permission to rest, can you offer yourself one peaceful hour today? If you believe another person's apology will free you, can forgiveness begin before they understand the harm they caused? If you believe certainty will bring peace, can you discover a peace spacious enough to include uncertainty? This is not a way of pretending that your needs do not matter. It is a way of reclaiming the inner qualities you have placed in the hands of circumstances. The moment your happiness depends entirely upon something outside you, fear becomes its guardian. You become afraid of losing what you have, afraid of failing to obtain what you want, and afraid that someone else may receive it first. Even when the desired thing arrives, you cannot hold it peacefully because attachment whispers, "What if this disappears?" And everything does disappear eventually. The flower falls, the season turns, the body changes, praise becomes silence. People arrive and depart. What seems permanent is only visiting. Impermanence is not life's cruelty. It is the rhythm that makes life possible. If the autumn leaf refused to fall, the spring bud would have nowhere to emerge. If the night refused to end, dawn could never touch the mountains. If an old identity remained forever, the wiser self within you would never have room to breathe. You suffer not simply because things change, but because the mind demands that pleasant things remain and painful things leave immediately. Yet life does not move according to those demands. The practice of non-attachment teaches you to participate fully without attempting to own the moment. You can love a person deeply while remembering that they are not your possession. You can build a dream with devotion while understanding that its form may change. You can welcome joy without asking it to sign a contract promising never to leave. This kind of love is not smaller, it is freer. Imagine holding a small bird in your hands. If your grip is too loose, you may not protect it. If your grip is too tight, you will injure the very life you wanted to keep close. Compassionate love is the wisdom of gentle hands. It provides warmth without creating a prison. The same is true of your dreams. Care for them, give them time, discipline, and honest effort, but allow them to breathe. Let them evolve beyond the limited image your mind first created. Sometimes a dream must change its shape to become part of your life. A young woman once came to a hillside temple after the end of a long relationship. For many years, she had imagined building a home with the person who left her. She had pictured the rooms, the garden, and even the sound of their laughter in old age. When the relationship ended, she did not feel that she had lost only a person. She felt that she had lost an entire future. Each morning, she climbed the temple steps and sat beneath an old pine tree. She asked the resident monk the same question: "How do I stop wanting the life that should have been mine?" For several days, the monk offered no direct answer. He simply invited her to help carry water, prepare rice, and tend the small garden behind the temple. One afternoon, they found a clay pot broken beside the well. The young woman gathered the pieces and said, "This was beautiful. What a waste." The monk picked up one fragment and asked, "Is the clay no longer clay?" She looked at him, confused. "No, but it cannot be the same pot again." "Then perhaps," he said, "its life as that pot is finished, but its usefulness has not ended." They placed the fragments at the bottom of a garden bed to help drain the rainwater. Months later, white lotus flowers opened there. The woman understood that healing would not restore the future she had imagined. Healing would allow the love, pain, and wisdom of that future to become part of something new. What left her life was real. Her grief was real. But the story her grief told, that nothing beautiful could grow afterward, was not the truth. There may be a broken pot in your own heart, a plan that collapsed, a promise that was not kept, a version of yourself you can no longer become. Do not hurry to call it meaningless. Do not force the fragments back into their former shape. Sit beside what has broken. Grieve it honestly. Then ask what new life might be nourished by what remains. Acceptance does not say, "This did not hurt." Acceptance says, "This happened, and I will no longer destroy today by demanding that yesterday become different." That is where inner freedom begins. That is where inner freedom begins. Not when every wound has disappeared, not when every question has been answered, but when you stop asking the past to return what it has taken. Freedom begins when you allow the broken pieces to become soil for a life you have not yet imagined. But acceptance alone is not always easy, because the mind still wants to know when. When will the pain end? When will the right person arrive? When will the effort bear fruit? When will life finally begin to feel as though it is moving with you instead of against you? The desire for certainty can become another form of forcing. You may release one outcome while secretly demanding a timeline. You tell yourself that you are being patient, yet every morning you examine the horizon, searching for evidence that your reward is approaching. When nothing appears, doubt returns. But patience in Buddhist practice is not merely the ability to wait. It is the ability to remain peaceful without knowing how long the waiting will last. This is the third understanding. Life ripens through causes and conditions, not through impatience. A fruit cannot be argued into sweetness. It ripens when sunlight, water, soil, temperature, and time come together. You may stand beneath the tree and demand that it become ready today, but your demand adds nothing to its growth. If you tear it from the branch too early, you receive the form of the fruit without its sweetness. Many things in life are like this. You can meet the right person before you have learned how to receive healthy love. You can be given success before you possess the wisdom to remain grounded within it. You can receive money before understanding how to manage it. You can find an opportunity before developing the discipline required to sustain it. Something may be good and still arrive too early. This is why delay is not always rejection. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes many unseen conditions are still moving into place. In Buddhist philosophy, karma is often misunderstood as a system of reward and punishment. But karma can be understood more practically as the movement of causes and consequences. Thoughts influence choices. Choices become habits. Habits shape character. Character affects how you respond to opportunity, conflict, love, and loss. Your life is continually being formed by seeds. A resentful thought is a seed. An act of generosity is a seed. The decision to speak honestly is a seed. The willingness to begin again is a seed. Meditation is a seed. Forgiveness is a seed. Even the way you speak to yourself in moments of failure plants something within you. You do not always control when these seeds will bear fruit, but you can choose what you plant today. There was once an elderly monk who cared for a neglected piece of land behind a mountain temple. The soil was dry, and the villagers believed nothing useful could grow there. Still, each morning, the monk carried 2 wooden buckets from the river and poured water gently over the earth. A young novice watched him for many weeks. "Why do you continue?" the novice asked. "Nothing is growing." The old monk knelt and touched the darkened soil. "Nothing you can see is growing," he replied. The novice was unconvinced. "What if no flowers ever appear? Then I will still have become someone who knows how to care for the earth." The monk continued watering the garden. One morning, after a season of heavy rain, small green shoots appeared. By summer, the empty ground had become a field of wildflowers. Bees moved among the blossoms, birds returned to the nearby trees, and villagers began climbing the mountain simply to sit beside the colors. But the most important transformation had occurred long before the flowers opened. It had happened during those silent mornings when the monk chose devotion without evidence. This is the kind of faith life asks from you. Not blind belief that every wish will come true, but the courage to cultivate what is good before results become visible. Can you remain kind before kindness is returned? Can you continue learning before anyone recognizes your progress? Can you care for your body before you see a dramatic change? Can you practice peace while your circumstances are still uncertain? Can you plant without standing over the soil and shouting at it to bloom? The impatient mind is obsessed with harvest. The wise mind respects cultivation. This does not mean you should remain forever in situations that show no sign of life. Wisdom also knows when soil has become barren, when a relationship has become harmful, or when a path is asking you to abandon your dignity. Patience is not the same as self-betrayal. A bamboo tree bends, but it does not uproot itself to please the wind. You must learn the difference between a difficult season and a destructive pattern. A difficult season may ask for courage, communication, and time. A destructive pattern repeatedly asks you to become smaller, quieter, and less truthful in order to preserve it. What is meant to remain in your life will not require you to lose your inner life completely. There will be effort, because every meaningful relationship and worthwhile dream requires effort. There may be discomfort, sacrifice, and moments of uncertainty, but beneath those challenges, there should still be space for honesty, mutual respect, growth, and breadth. If you must constantly betray your values to keep something, you are not holding a blessing, you are holding a chain. Sometimes the thing you are trying to attract cannot approach because your hands are still occupied with what you are afraid to release. You ask for peaceful love while chasing someone who only offers confusion. You ask for meaningful work while clinging to an identity built entirely around approval. You ask for a new beginning while returning each night to the story that your best days are behind you. Life may already be opening a door, but you cannot walk through it while kneeling before the one that closed. Letting go is therefore not an empty gesture, it creates space. When autumn trees release their leaves, they do not become lifeless. Their branches become open to light. Their roots conserve strength. Their apparent emptiness prepares them for renewal. You, too, need seasons of emptiness. A silent phone may create space for you to hear yourself again. A canceled plan may return an afternoon to your own care. A friendship ending may reveal how often you abandoned your needs to avoid loneliness. A period without visible progress may invite you to remember why you began. Emptiness can feel frightening because the ego prefers familiar suffering to unfamiliar possibility. It says, "At least I know this pain. At least I understand this disappointment. If I release it, who will I become?" But you are not only what has happened to you. You are also the awareness capable of meeting what happens next. Imagine an ancient temple bell hanging in a quiet forest. It can produce a clear and beautiful sound because it is hollow. If it were filled completely with stone, it could not resonate. Its emptiness is not a defect. It is what allows it to answer the touch of life. In the same way, the spaces within you are not proof that something is missing. They may be the places where wisdom will resonate most deeply. Do not rush to fill every silence. Do not return to people who wounded you simply because solitude feels unfamiliar. Do not accept the first opportunity merely because waiting has made you afraid. Do not mistake movement for direction. Sit beneath the uncertainty for a little while. Listen. Silence often reveals what desperation conceals. When the noise of chasing grows quiet, you begin to notice whether your desire comes from love or fear. You see whether you truly want the path or merely want others to admire you for walking it. You recognize whether you miss a person or only miss the relief of not feeling alone. Such recognition is not always comfortable, but it is compassionate because it brings you closer to truth. And truth, even when painful, creates less suffering than illusion. There was once a seeker who visited a monastery every month to ask the same master whether he should leave his life in the city and become a monk. He imagined that the temple would free him from anxiety, conflict, and disappointment. Each time, the master asked, "What are you running toward?" The seeker described the mountains, meditation, silence, and peace. Then the master asked, "What are you running from?" The seeker always changed the subject. One winter evening, after months of questioning, he finally answered, "I am running from the fear that I have failed." The master poured tea into 2 cups and said, "If you enter the temple to escape yourself, you will discover that you arrived with you." The seeker lowered his eyes. "Then what should I do?" "Return to your life," the master said. "But return awake. Stop building your choices around the person you are afraid others believe you to be." The seeker did not become a monk. He returned to the city, left work that had slowly emptied him, apologized to someone he had harmed, and began living more simply. His external life did not become free of difficulty, but it became honest. Years later, he understood that what had been meant for him was not escape, it was self-awareness. Sometimes you believe you are waiting for life to show you the way, while life is waiting for you to tell yourself the truth. And once you become honest, your path often grows quieter but clearer. If these teachings are helping you loosen your grip upon something you have been forcing, take a moment to like this video. Then write this affirmation in the comments. "I release the timeline and trust my growth." Let these words remind you that patience is not wasted time. It is the space in which wisdom matures. You do not need to know exactly when the flower will open. Your task is to care for the conditions. Protect your peace. Refine your intentions. Act with compassion. Speak truthfully. Rest when you are weary. Begin again when you lose your way. Offer gratitude for what is already present, even while your heart remains open to what may come. This is how you prepare without forcing. This is how you move forward without abandoning the present. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin to understand that what is truly meant for you is not simply something that arrives from the outside. It is also something you become capable of recognizing, receiving, and carrying with wisdom. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin to understand that what is truly meant for you is not simply something that arrives from the outside. It is also something you become capable of recognizing, receiving, and carrying with wisdom. Because receiving is its own spiritual practice. Many people believe they are ready for what they desire simply because they desire it intensely. But longing and readiness are not the same. You may long for peace while remaining addicted to conflict. You may long for sincere love while distrusting every gentle person who approaches you. You may long for freedom while continuing to build your identity around the approval of others. The heart can ask for one thing while its habits prepare it for another. This is the fourth understanding. What is suited to your path becomes clearer when you stop chasing from fear and begin living from alignment. Alignment does not mean that every circumstance becomes easy. It means that your actions, values, and intentions begin moving in the same direction. You no longer speak of peace while feeding resentment each evening. You no longer ask for honesty while hiding from your own truth. You no longer dream of a simple life while allowing comparison to multiply your desires. You become like a river whose scattered streams have gathered into one current. This gathering creates quiet power. When your mind wants one thing, your words promise another, and your actions repeatedly move elsewhere. Your energy becomes divided. You feel exhausted because you are walking in several directions at once. One part of you wants to release the past. Another secretly waits for it to return. One part wants a new beginning. Another rehearses every old betrayal. One part dreams of being seen. Another is terrified of becoming visible. There is no shame in this inner conflict. It is part of being human. But what remains unconscious continues to shape your choices. A person may say, "I keep meeting people who cannot love me," without noticing that emotionally unavailable love feels familiar to them. Another may say, "Success never stays," while abandoning every opportunity when it begins demanding consistency. Someone else may pray for change, yet resist every discomfort through which change must pass. Life may bring you a door, but fear can disguise it as danger. This is why self-awareness matters. Without it, you may chase what wounds you and avoid what could heal you. There was once a monk named Sora who lived in a forest monastery surrounded by tall cedar trees. He was known among the other monks for his discipline, yet he carried a private sorrow. Before entering the monastery, he had dreamed of becoming a respected teacher. Years passed, but the elder master continued assigning him ordinary tasks. He swept the courtyard, he washed bowls, he repaired the path after heavy rain. Younger monks were sometimes invited to speak with visitors, while Sora remained in the kitchen preparing tea. Although he performed each task carefully, resentment grew inside him. One morning, the elder master asked him to carry a lantern along a forest trail before sunrise. The path was dark, and mist rested between the trees. Sora held the lantern high, but its flame illuminated only a few steps ahead. "Why does this lantern show so little of the path?" Sora asked. "How much do you need to see in order to take the next step?" the master replied. "Only a few feet," Sora admitted. "Then the lantern is not failing you." They continued through the forest. When they reached a small clearing, the master stopped beside a fallen cedar. "You want the entire path revealed because you are afraid that your next step is insignificant," he said. "But no true path is built from insignificant steps." Sora looked at the lantern in his hand. The master continued, "You wish to teach others about humility, yet you resent every task that teaches humility to you. You ask for a voice that people will trust, but you have not yet learned to listen without needing recognition." The words hurt because they were true. Sora had believed that life was delaying his purpose. In reality, the delay was revealing the part of him that would have corrupted it. He wanted to guide others, but his desire was still entangled with the need to feel important. From that day, he approached his ordinary responsibilities differently. He stopped seeing the courtyard as an obstacle to his calling. He treated it as part of his training. While washing bowls, he practiced complete attention. While repairing the path, he considered the feet that would walk upon it. While making tea, he remembered that service did not become sacred only when people applauded it. Years later, when he finally became a teacher, his words carried gentleness because life had emptied them of vanity. The position he desired did arrive, but by then, he no longer needed the position to prove who he was. This is the paradox of non-attachment. Often, when you stop needing something to complete your identity, you become capable of meeting it without losing yourself. When you no longer need love to prove your worth, you can recognize love instead of accepting possession, manipulation, or inconsistency in its name. When you no longer need success to silence your insecurity, you can build meaningful work without sacrificing your health, integrity, or relationships. When you no longer need everyone to understand you, you can speak honestly without turning every disagreement into a battle. You begin choosing from clarity rather than hunger. A starving mind will consume almost anything placed before it. A peaceful mind can discern what truly nourishes it. This discernment is essential because not everything that enters your life is meant to remain there. Some people arrive to reveal a wound. Some opportunities reveal an attachment. Some difficulties expose a strength you had forgotten. Some dreams guide you toward a destination different from the one you imagined. Meaning does not always require permanence. The rain does not remain in the sky forever, yet it nourishes the forest. A bird may rest upon a branch for only a moment, yet its song changes the silence. A stranger may offer one sentence that accompanies you for years. Do not measure everything by how long it stays. Ask instead what it awakens. Perhaps a relationship awakened your capacity to love, even though it ended. Perhaps a failure awakened discipline. Perhaps loneliness awakened self-compassion. Perhaps uncertainty awakened a deeper trust in the present. When you see life in this way, you stop dividing every experience into success or failure. You begin noticing transformation. A lotus does not judge the mud for being dark. The mud contains what the flower needs in order to rise. Your difficult experiences are not automatically beautiful, and pain should never be romanticized. Harm remains harm. Loss deserves grief. Betrayal should not be called a blessing simply because wisdom may eventually grow from it. But you possess the ability to transform what you have received. You cannot always choose what enters the soil of your life, but through awareness, compassion, and wise action, you can influence what grows from it. This is karma, expressed in its most intimate form. Someone wounds you, and anger arises. The anger itself is not a moral failure. It is a natural response. But what you repeatedly do with that anger becomes a seed. You can water it with revenge, allowing it to grow roots through your thoughts and relationships. Or you can meet it with awareness, establish necessary boundaries, grieve honestly, and refuse to pass the wound forward. Forgiveness does not require you to invite harmful people back into your life. It does not erase accountability. It means that you no longer allow their actions to determine the quality of your inner world. You release the poison without pretending it was medicine. This release creates alignment because your future is no longer organized around your past. Many people remain connected to what hurt them through resistance. They believe hatred is the opposite of attachment. Yet, hatred can bind the mind as tightly as longing. Every imagined argument, every repeated memory, and every desire to be vindicated keeps the old story alive. The person may be gone, but they continue occupying a room within your consciousness. Forgiveness opens the window. It says, I will remember what happened, and I will learn from it, but I will not build my home inside that moment. This is not accomplished in a single decision. Forgiveness may need to be practiced many times. Some mornings, you may feel free. By evening, the pain may return. Do not judge yourself. Healing is not a straight road across an empty field. It resembles a mountain path, curving through forests, disappearing behind stones, and sometimes passing the same view from a higher place. You may revisit an old emotion without returning to the person you once were. Notice the difference. The pain may feel familiar, but now you meet it with greater compassion. The memory may return, but now you do not obey it. The fear may speak, but now another voice exists within you, the voice of awareness. That voice is quiet. It rarely shouts. It does not say, "Nothing can hurt me." It says, "Whatever I feel, I can remain present." It does not say, "I know exactly what will happen." It says, "I trust myself to meet what comes." It does not say, "Everything I want belongs to me." It says, "I welcome what supports truth, compassion, and growth, and I release what requires me to abandon them." This is inner stability. And when stability grows within you, you no longer need to chase every possibility. You can pause before answering. You can observe how your body feels around a person. You can notice whether an opportunity expands your integrity or asks you to betray it. You can distinguish excitement from anxiety and peace from emotional numbness. Mindfulness gives you this pause. Between desire and action, there is a small space. Within that space lives your freedom. Imagine walking through a marketplace filled with voices. Every merchant calls to you, promising happiness, status, beauty, security, and belonging. If you respond to every voice, you will leave exhausted, carrying objects you never truly wanted. The modern mind lives in such a marketplace every day. Images tell you how your life should look. Other people's achievements become clocks against which you measure your progress. Advertisements transform simplicity into inadequacy. Even spiritual teachings can become products that promise instant peace, immediate healing, or effortless abundance. But wisdom is rarely the loudest voice in the marketplace. Wisdom waits in silence until you are willing to listen. It asks, "Is this desire truly mine?" It asks, "What will pursuing this cost my mind?" It asks, "If no one ever applauded this choice, would it still feel meaningful?" It asks, "Does this path make me more compassionate, more honest, and more awake?" These questions do not always give immediate answers, but they protect you from spending your life climbing a mountain only to discover that you never wanted to reach its summit. A fisherman once lived near a peaceful lake beneath the mountains. Every morning, he took his small wooden boat onto the water, caught enough fish for his family, and returned before sunset. He was not wealthy, but his life was simple and content. One day, a merchant from the city visited the village. Seeing the fisherman return early, he said, "Why do you stop when the lake still contains so many fish?" The fisherman replied, "I have enough for today." The merchant laughed. "If you worked until night, you could sell the extra fish. Then you could buy another boat, hire workers, build a business, and become rich." "And after I become rich," the fisherman asked, "you could retire beside a peaceful lake, spend time with your family, and enjoy quiet evenings." The fisherman looked across the water as the setting sun turned it gold. "I am already here," he said. This story is not an argument against ambition. Creating, building, and serving through meaningful work can be beautiful. The teaching is simpler. Do not sacrifice the life you seek while pursuing the symbols you believe represent it. If you want peace, practice moments of peace now. If you want love, bring loving attention to the people already before you. If you want abundance, notice what is enough. If you want freedom, examine the desires that keep multiplying your chains. Gratitude returns you to what is already here. It does not prevent you from growing. It prevents growth from becoming a permanent rejection of the present. Without gratitude, every achievement quickly becomes insufficient. The mind reaches one summit and immediately stares toward another. It never feels the mountain beneath its feet. It never notices the sky, the wind, or the distance it has traveled. Gratitude allows arrival, even if only for one breath. Look around your life now, not at what is missing, but at what has remained so ordinary that you have stopped seeing it. The breath entering your body without being commanded, the water that relieves your thirst, the person whose quiet kindness asks for no recognition, the morning light touching a wall, the ability to begin again after disappointment. These things may not resemble the great future you have imagined, but a meaningful life is not made only of great arrivals. It is woven from moments the distracted mind calls small. When you learn to receive those moments, you become less desperate, and when desperation softens, perception becomes clear. You stop trying to turn every person into your destiny. You stop treating every delay as abandonment. You stop assuming that a different life is automatically a better life. You become available to the life that is actually touching you. And perhaps this is what people mean when they say that what is meant for you will come. Not that every desire has been promised. Not that effort is unnecessary. Not that some invisible force will arrange the world according to your preferences. It means that when you live with awareness, patience, integrity, and open hands, you no longer have to force what can only survive through pressure. What supports your growth can meet you in truth. What requires constant self-abandonment becomes easier to release. What arrives too early is allowed to ripen. What departs is permitted to complete its season, and what remains is no longer taken for granted. Yet one final understanding is still waiting beneath all the others. Because even after releasing attachment, respecting timing, becoming aligned, and practicing gratitude, the mind may continue asking, "But what if the thing I want never comes?" This question reaches the deepest fear. It is not merely the fear of disappointment. It is the fear that your life will be incomplete. It is the fear that your life will be incomplete. This fear hides beneath many of your pursuits. You do not merely want companionship. You fear that without it, your life will never feel whole. You do not merely want success. You fear that without visible achievement, your existence will have meant less. You do not merely want healing. You fear that your wounds have disqualified you from peace. And so the mind creates a condition for completeness. When this arrives, I will finally be enough. When this changes, I will begin living. When this pain disappears, I will permit myself to feel peaceful. But each condition places your life somewhere beyond the present moment. You become a traveler who is always approaching home, but never allows himself to enter. This is the fifth and deepest understanding. Nothing outside you can complete the wholeness that awareness reveals within you. This does not mean you need no one. It does not mean relationships, dreams, accomplishments, or material security have no value. Human beings need care, connection, purpose, and belonging. Buddhism does not ask you to deny these natural needs. It asks you to see clearly. A relationship can enrich your life, but it cannot permanently silence every insecurity within you. Success can widen your possibilities, but it cannot give lasting peace to a mind trained in comparison. Money can relieve many forms of suffering, but it cannot protect you from impermanence. Recognition can make you visible to the world, while leaving you invisible to yourself. Whatever arrives from outside will eventually meet the inner world you have cultivated. If your mind has learned only to search for what is missing, it will discover absence, even in abundance. If your heart believes it is unworthy, it may mistrust sincere love when it appears. If your identity depends upon achievement, every success will create a new fear of failure. But when you begin recognizing your fundamental wholeness, everything changes. You no longer enter relationships begging another person to rescue you from yourself. You enter prepared to share the life already moving within you. You no longer pursue meaningful work to prove that you deserve to exist. You work because creating, contributing, and serving express something true in you. You no longer meditate to become a person without pain. You meditate to meet the person who is here with compassion. There was once a monk who lived alone in a small temple overlooking the sea. Each evening, he lit a lantern and placed it beside the entrance. Travelers sometimes climbed the hill seeking shelter, and the monk welcomed them with tea and warm rice. One night, a young man arrived during a storm. His clothes were soaked, his face was tired, and he carried a small wooden box close to his chest. While they sat beside the fire, the young man explained that the box contained everything he believed would secure his future: letters of recommendation, a map to a distant city, several coins, and a portrait of the woman he hoped would one day marry him. "I have crossed many villages looking for the right path," he said, "but every road closes. Each time I approach the life I want, something takes it away." The monk listened quietly. "What will happen when you finally possess everything inside that box?" he asked. "Then I will be at peace." The monk pointed toward the storm outside. "Is the sea waiting for the storm to end before it remembers that it is the sea?" The young man looked through the open doorway. Waves rose and collapsed beneath the darkness. "No," he answered. "The surface is disturbed," the monk said, "but its depth has not ceased to exist." The young man held the box more tightly. "But I do not feel deep. I feel broken." The monk placed another piece of wood upon the fire. "A wave may break against the shore, but the ocean is not broken." For a long time, neither of them spoke. The next morning, the storm had passed. The young man stood outside and watched sunlight spread across the water. His circumstances had not changed. The distant city remained uncertain. The woman might not choose him. His coins were still few. Yet for the first time, he understood that uncertainty was moving across the surface of his life. It was not the totality of what he was. He continued his journey, but he carried the box differently. It was no longer the container of his completeness. It was simply a collection of hopes. This is how inner freedom changes your relationship with desire. You can still carry hopes, but you no longer ask them to carry you. You can want something wholeheartedly while knowing that your life possesses dignity before it arrives. You can experience disappointment without turning it into a verdict upon your future. You can grieve what never became yours without concluding that nothing meaningful remains. Wholeness is not the absence of longing. It is the ability to remain present even while longing exists. Place your hand gently upon your heart and notice that life is already happening. Your breath is not waiting for tomorrow's permission. Awareness is not waiting for your problems to disappear. The present moment has opened before you without asking whether you have achieved enough to deserve it. Can you receive this moment? Not the imagined moment in which everything has been repaired, not the future in which everyone finally understands you. This moment, with its uncertainty, unfinished healing, ordinary beauty, and quiet possibility. Presence is where the chase ends. When you are fully here, you may discover that the peace you expected to receive at the end of your journey has been walking beside you all along. It was present in the morning you survived after believing you could not continue. It was present in the breath you took before responding with compassion instead of anger. It was present when you walked away from what repeatedly dishonored you. It was present in every small beginning no one else noticed. Perhaps what was meant for you has already come in forms you overlooked. Perhaps it came as the strength to endure. Perhaps it came as the friend who remained when others disappeared. Perhaps it came as a painful truth that ended a beautiful illusion. Perhaps it came as the silence in which you finally heard your own voice. Perhaps it came as the chance to begin again, not with the same innocence, but with deeper wisdom. The mind that is always searching the horizon misses what has arrived at its feet. So pause. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel the weight of your body where you are sitting. Notice the next breath entering and leaving. For this brief moment, release the future from your grip. You do not have to solve your entire life now. You only need to meet this moment without abandoning yourself. Then, when the next wise action becomes clear, take it. Send the application. Have the honest conversation. Establish the boundary. Learn the skill. Rest your body. Apologize sincerely. Leave the door that has become a cage. Plant the seed that matters to you. Letting go is not the refusal to act. It is action without the fever of control. You offer your effort and release your demand. You choose the direction and remain flexible about the road. You care for the seed without commanding the season. This is the middle way between helpless waiting and exhausting force. You participate in life without trying to dominate it. And when something does not come, you allow yourself to grieve. You do not hide disappointment beneath empty spiritual language. You do not pretend that loss is painless. You sit beside your sadness as a compassionate master would sit beside a frightened child. You say, "I know you wanted this." You say, "I know it hurts." And then, gently, you add, "But our life is not over." Compassion allows the heart to remain open without becoming defenseless. It teaches you that tenderness and wisdom belong together. You can forgive and maintain distance. You can hope and remain unattached. You can love and still say no. You can accept reality without approving of everything that occurred. This balance is a form of maturity. It is the calm strength of a mountain beneath changing weather. Snow may cover it. Rain may strike it, clouds may hide it, sunrise may turn its summit gold, yet the mountain does not chase one condition or fight another. It receives each season without forgetting its ground. Remember your ground. Beneath your roles, possessions, victories, mistakes, and unfinished plans, there is a quiet awareness capable of beginning again. You may lose direction, but awareness can notice that you are lost. You may become attached, but awareness can recognize the tightening of your hands. You may act from fear, but awareness can help you choose differently the next time. This capacity to awaken is always near. No failure removes it. No delay destroys it. No rejection can take it from you. The path of wisdom is not a path upon which you never stumble. It is the path upon which every stumble can become an invitation to wake up. So if you are waiting for something today, wait with open eyes. Notice what this season is teaching you. Notice which wounds demand compassion, which habits need discipline, and which burdens are ready to be placed upon the earth. If you are working towards something, work with a peaceful mind. Let your effort be sincere, but do not allow the outcome to possess your identity. If you are grieving what did not remain, honor its season. Thank whatever beauty was real. Learn from whatever pain was true. Then permit the river to continue. And if what you hoped for finally arrives, welcome it with gratitude rather than fear. Do not hold it so tightly that you cannot experience it. Love it while it is here. Care for it wisely. Allow it to be alive. Everything you encounter is part of a changing world. This truth does not make life meaningless. It makes each moment precious. The cherry blossom is beautiful not despite its brief season, but partly because it asks you to be present before the wind carries it away. The moon is treasured because it passes through darkness and light. The river is alive because it never becomes imprisoned by one shape. You, too, are moving. The person who began listening to these words may not be exactly the person hearing them now. Perhaps something within you has loosened. Perhaps the future feels less like an enemy. Perhaps the door you were forcing no longer appears to be the only entrance into a meaningful life. Let that small shift be enough for today. Transformation is often quieter than thunder. Sometimes it is only a breath taken without fear, a message you decide not to send, a memory you refuse to feed, a peaceful no, an honest yes, a willingness to trust one more morning. Before you leave this journey, subscribe to Buddhist Wisdom and share one final affirmation in the comments. I am whole, and I welcome what comes in peace. Let this affirmation mark a new relationship with life, not a promise that you will never feel impatient again, but a commitment to return to awareness whenever fear makes you grasp. What is meant for your growth may come as an opportunity. It may come as a person. It may come as an ending. It may come as a lesson hidden inside a delay. It may come as the courage to release what you once believed you could not live without. And sometimes, what is meant for you is not waiting somewhere in the distance. Sometimes, it is the wisdom quietly awakening within you now. Walk forward then, with open hands. Plant good seeds, but do not fight the soil. Honor your dreams, but do not make them the measure of your worth. Love deeply, but do not turn love into possession. Be patient, but do not confuse patience with remaining where your spirit is repeatedly harmed. Trust life, but also cultivate the clarity to recognize when life is asking you to move. The sunrise never forces the night away. It simply appears when the conditions are ready, and darkness gradually releases the sky. May the same be true within you. May what is false fall away without bitterness. May what is true find room to remain. May you possess the patience to honor what is still unfolding, the courage to release what has completed its season, and the wisdom to recognize the gifts already resting quietly in your life. May your mind become peaceful, your heart become compassionate, and your journey be guided by wisdom. May your mind become peaceful, your heart become compassionate, and your journey be guided by wisdom. And when you awaken tomorrow, remember that this wisdom is not meant to remain only as a beautiful idea. It must enter the way you breathe, the way you speak, the way you wait, and the way you respond when life refuses to follow your plans. Because insight without practice is like a lamp left unlit in a dark room. It may possess the ability to illuminate, but it cannot guide your steps until you touch it with action. So begin simply. Before reaching for your phone in the morning, remain still for 3 breaths. With the first breath, recognize that you are alive. With the second, release the demand to control everything that may happen that day. With the third, choose one quality you wish to carry with you: patience, courage, compassion, honesty, or peace. Do not ask the entire day to become easy. Ask only that you remain awake within it. When something unexpected happens, pause before calling it bad. You do not yet know what path may open because the original plan changed. You do not know what lesson is hidden inside the interruption, or what danger may have been quietly removed from your road. This does not mean you must celebrate every difficulty. It means you allow reality to reveal its full meaning before your frightened mind writes the ending. The first interpretation of an event is rarely the complete truth. A delay may feel like rejection. A rejection may later appear as protection. An ending may feel like emptiness. That emptiness may become the space in which your true life begins. There was once a monk who traveled from village to village, carrying only a robe, a bowl, and a small cloth bag. One afternoon, he arrived beside a river that had overflowed after several days of rain. The bridge he intended to cross had been swept away. The monk sat beneath a tree and waited. Soon, another traveler arrived. When he saw the broken bridge, he became furious. "This river has destroyed my plans," the traveler shouted. "I was supposed to reach the town before nightfall." He searched desperately for a way across. He stepped into the violent water, but the current nearly pulled him away. Wet and exhausted, he returned to the shore. "How can you sit there so peacefully?" he asked the monk. "Do you not understand that the road is closed?" The monk looked toward the river. "The road I imagined is closed," he replied. "I am waiting to see which road remains." Near sunset, a farmer passed with an ox cart. He explained that another crossing existed several miles upstream and offered them a place to sleep in his home. During the night, a landslide struck the road beyond the destroyed bridge, the same road the travelers had been trying to reach. Had they crossed earlier, they might have been caught beneath it. The angry traveler lay awake for a long time. In the morning, he approached the monk. "Did you know the landslide would happen?" "No," said the monk. "Then why were you not afraid?" "I was afraid," the monk answered, "but fear does not need to become the master of my next step." This is the practice. Peace is not always the absence of fear. Sometimes peace is the space in which fear is allowed to exist without controlling your behavior. Trust is not certainty that everything will unfold as you hope. It is the willingness to meet what unfolds without abandoning your wisdom. You will still have moments when you grasp. You will still become impatient. You may still return to a closed door, hoping it will open because you have knocked one more time. You may still compare your season with someone else's harvest. You may still confuse intensity with love, movement with progress, or delay with failure. When this happens, do not turn the teaching into another weapon against yourself. Do not say, "I should be wiser than this." Do not say, "I have failed because I am afraid again." Awareness is not perfection. Awareness is the moment you notice that you have fallen asleep inside an old pattern. That noticing is already an awakening. Return gently. Unclench your hands. Relax your jaw. Lower your shoulders. Feel the ground beneath you. Ask, "What am I trying to force right now?" Then ask, "What wise action remains available without forcing?" Perhaps you need to communicate clearly. Perhaps you need to stop sending messages into silence. Perhaps you need to make another attempt, but with a different method. Perhaps you need advice, education, discipline, or rest. Perhaps the wisest action is to do nothing for one evening and allow emotion to settle before making a decision. Non-forcing is not passivity. A farmer does not force a seed to grow, but he still prepares the soil. He removes weeds, brings water, protects the young plant, and remains attentive to changing conditions. In the same way, you must participate in the creation of your life. If you desire meaningful work, develop your abilities. If you desire healthy love, practice honest communication and clear boundaries. If you desire inner peace, notice the habits that repeatedly disturb your mind. If you desire a different future, stop watering the patterns that recreate your past. You cannot control the harvest, but you are responsible for the quality of your cultivation. Every day, you are teaching life how you are willing to be treated through the boundaries you maintain, the choices you repeat, and the beliefs you continue feeding. When you accept crumbs because you fear an empty table, you tell yourself that hunger is the price of connection. When you silence your truth to keep someone near, you teach your heart that abandonment by another person is more frightening than abandonment of yourself. But when you step away from what repeatedly diminishes you, you do not create emptiness. You create an invitation for something more honest. The invitation may not be answered immediately. This is where many people lose faith. They release one harmful relationship and expect healthy love to appear the next morning. They leave work that exhausted them and expect purpose to reveal itself within a week. They meditate for several days and wonder why years of fear have not disappeared. But the space between releasing the old and receiving the new is sacred. Do not rush through it. That space is where your nervous system learns that peace is not danger. It is where your identity separates from the roles you once performed to survive. It is where you discover whether you truly want something new or merely want the familiar pain dressed in a different face. Solitude can teach you the difference between loneliness and abandonment. Silence can teach you the difference between peace and emptiness. Waiting can teach you the difference between intuition and impatience. Let the lesson ripen. A bowl must be empty before it can receive fresh water. But if you become frightened by its emptiness and immediately fill it with mud, you will never taste what was approaching. Protect the empty bowl. Protect the quiet season. Protect the part of your life that no longer looks impressive to others, but finally feels truthful to you. There is no need to announce every transformation. A tree does not explain its growth to the forest. It simply deepens its roots and reaches toward light. Allow your life to become quieter than your promises. Let your habits speak. Let your peace speak. Let the way you no longer chase what harms you speak. One day, you may look back upon this period and realize that the moment you believed nothing was happening was the moment everything essential began to change. You were learning to wait without collapsing. You were learning to hope without clinging. You were learning to act without demanding. You were learning to love without possessing. You were learning to release without hatred. And most importantly, you were learning that your life did not begin when the desired thing arrived. Your life had been here all along. So tonight, before you sleep, place one burden down. You do not need to release every fear. Choose only one. Perhaps it is the need to know when. Perhaps it is the need to be chosen by someone who remains uncertain about you. Perhaps it is the belief that another person's success has made you late. Perhaps it is the story that one lost opportunity was your only opportunity. Take a slow breath and imagine placing that burden beside a river. You do not need to throw it violently. Simply set it down. Watch the water move without asking where it is going. Then silently say, "I will do what is mine to do." Breathe in. "I will release what is not mine to control." Breathe out. "I will not measure my worth by the speed of my journey." Remain still. "I welcome what comes with peace, and I release what leaves with wisdom." Let these words settle beneath thought. Tomorrow, the mind may try to lift the burden again. If it does, place it down again. This is practice. Not one perfect moment of surrender, but 1,000 gentle returns. Eventually, your hands will remember how openness feels. And with open hands, you will discover that life can give you things a closed fist could never receive. Unexpected friendship, quiet opportunity, a different direction, a wiser love, a deeper relationship with yourself. Some of these gifts may resemble what you once requested. Others may be so different that your former self would never have recognized them. Receive them without asking why they did not come sooner. Perhaps they did not come sooner because you were still learning how not to lose yourself inside them. Perhaps the gift was waiting for your wisdom. Perhaps your wisdom was waiting for this season. Continue then, without force. Let your steps be sincere. Let your pace be human. Let your heart remain open, but never at the cost of your dignity. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not incomplete. You are a living part of an unfolding world, planting causes, meeting conditions, releasing seasons, and awakening through each experience. What belongs to your growth will not always arrive in the form you expect, but if you remain present, you will recognize its teaching. And even when the road changes, you will not be lost, because the deepest path was never only beneath your feet. It was the awareness growing within you with every step. And once you understand this, the journey changes. You no longer walk through life asking every person, every opportunity, and every circumstance, "Will you finally make me whole?" Instead, you ask, "What are you here to reveal?" This question transforms disappointment into inquiry. It transforms waiting into practice. It transforms uncertainty from an enemy into a teacher whose language you are slowly learning to understand. Not every lesson will arrive gently. Some will come through silence when you hoped for an answer. Some will come through rejection when you believed you were finally being chosen. Some will come through an ending so sudden that, for a while, you will not know who you are without what disappeared. But even then, awareness remains. The mind may become stormy. The heart may feel heavy. Your confidence may tremble. Yet somewhere beneath the noise, there is still a quiet place capable of observing what is happening without becoming completely consumed by it. Return to that place. Return through your breath. Return through silence. Return by feeling your feet against the earth. Return by naming what is true without making it permanent. Instead of saying, "My life is ruined," say, "I am experiencing deep disappointment." Instead of saying, "I will always be alone," say, "Loneliness is present within me tonight." Instead of saying, "Nothing ever works for me," say, "Something I deeply hoped for did not happen." These words may appear similar, but they create entirely different worlds. The first form turns pain into identity. The second recognizes pain as an experience moving through awareness. You are not the storm. You are the sky in which the storm is appearing. The sky does not deny the clouds. It does not pretend that thunder is music or that lightning cannot cause harm. It simply refuses to believe that one storm has become the whole of existence. The clouds gather, the rain falls, the winds move, and eventually space appears again. Your emotions follow their own weather. Allow them to move. When sadness comes, do not force happiness upon it. When fear comes, do not insult yourself for trembling. When anger comes, listen for the boundary, wound, or unmet need beneath its heat. Every emotion carries information, but not every emotion should be given authority. Fear may speak, but it does not always know the future. Anger may speak, but it does not always know the wisest response. Longing may speak, but it does not always recognize what is healthy. This is why mindfulness is so powerful. It allows you to hear the voices within you without allowing the loudest one to rule your life. A wise king listens to every messenger, but he does not surrender the kingdom to each new arrival. Treat your inner world with the same wisdom. Listen to your fear, then consult your values. Listen to your desire, then examine its cost. Listen to your impatience, then ask whether the season is truly ready. Listen to your hope, then take the next honest step. You do not need to silence the mind before living wisely. You only need to stop obeying every thought as though it were a command. There was once a young monk who struggled greatly during meditation. Whenever he sat in silence, his thoughts became louder. Memories appeared. Worries multiplied. Plans for the future pulled him away from his breath. One morning, he approached his teacher in frustration. "My mind will not become quiet," he said. "Perhaps I am not suited for this path." The teacher led him to a courtyard where several birds were calling from the trees. "Can you prevent the birds from singing?" the teacher asked. "No." "Can you still hear the bell when I ring it?" The teacher struck a small bronze bell. Its clear tone moved through the courtyard, mingling with the birdsong. "Yes," the young monk replied. "The practice is not to silence every bird," said the teacher. "The practice is to remember the bell. Your awareness is that bell. Thoughts may continue. Old fears may return. The mind may tell you that time is running out, that everyone else is ahead, that you must act immediately or lose everything. remember the bell. Pause. Breathe. Ask what is actually happening now. Often, you will discover that the suffering created by your imagination is greater than the difficulty standing before you. In this moment, you may not be rejected. You may simply be waiting for a response. In this moment, you may not have failed. You may simply be learning what does not work. In this moment, you may not be lost. You may simply be between the familiar road and the one that has not yet become visible. The mind rushes toward conclusions because uncertainty feels unsafe. It would rather receive a painful answer than remain inside an unanswered question. But wisdom knows how to remain beside the question without inventing a tragedy. There are things you cannot know today. You cannot know which person will remain beside you for years. You cannot know which effort will become the turning point. You cannot know whether the path you are following will maintain its current shape. You cannot know how many times you will need to begin again, but you can know how you wish to meet this day. You can choose not to betray yourself for temporary reassurance. You can choose not to chase affection that must be begged for. You can choose to continue developing your gifts even when recognition is absent. You can choose to speak kindly to the person you are becoming. You can choose one wise action, then another. A mountain path is not crossed in a single heroic leap. It is crossed through thousands of ordinary steps, many of which feel too small to matter. Yet every step changes your location. Do not underestimate the quiet choices. The glass of water instead of neglecting your body. The 10 minutes of meditation instead of another hour of anxious scrolling. The application you complete despite doubting yourself. The boundary you maintain even though loneliness tempts you to remove it. The apology you offer without defending your pride. The evening you rest instead of proving that you can endure more. These actions may not create an immediate miracle, but they create conditions. And your life grows through conditions. A peaceful life is not attracted by repeating peaceful words while continually choosing chaos. Healthy love is not attracted by wishing alone while ignoring the wounds that make disrespect feel familiar. Meaningful success is not attracted through vision without discipline. Your inner state matters. Your actions matter. Your environment matters. The people around you matter. The habits you repeat when no one is watching matter. This is not a reason to blame yourself for everything that has happened. Many conditions were created before you understood them. Some wounds were given to you by people who had never faced their own. Some obstacles come from injustice, illness, loss, and circumstances no individual can control. Compassion recognizes these realities. But compassion also reminds you that whatever happened before, a new cause can be planted now. Perhaps you cannot change the entire garden today. Remove one weed, water one seed, open one space to sunlight. That is enough. Do not wait to feel completely healed before choosing what supports healing. Do not wait to feel fearless before taking a courageous step. Do not wait to feel worthy before treating yourself with dignity. The feeling often follows the practice. At first, peace may feel unfamiliar. You may mistake it for boredom because your mind has learned to associate love with anxiety and progress with exhaustion. Remain with the unfamiliar peace. Let your body learn that calm does not mean something terrible is about to happen. Let your heart learn that love does not need confusion to feel alive. Let your mind learn that rest is not laziness and slowness is not failure. You are allowed to build a life that does not require constant recovery from itself. And as this new life grows, be careful not to turn spirituality into another form of control. You do not meditate so that nothing unpleasant will ever happen. You do not practice gratitude to guarantee that every desire will be fulfilled. You do not release attachment as a secret technique for making the desired thing chase you. If letting go becomes a strategy to manipulate the outcome, you have not truly released it. You have merely hidden your grip behind spiritual language. True surrender does not whisper, "I will pretend not to care, so that life finally gives me what I want." True surrender says, "I care deeply, I will act wisely, and I accept that reality is larger than my preference." This acceptance contains extraordinary strength. It frees your energy from endless negotiation with what has already occurred. It allows you to respond to the life before you instead of fighting the life that disappeared. It teaches you to distinguish hope from demand. Hope says, something beautiful may still grow. Demand says, it must grow exactly here, exactly now, and exactly as I imagined. Hope remains open. Demand becomes blind. When one path closes, demand collapses before the door. Hope grieves, gathers its strength, and slowly turns toward the wider landscape. Carry hope, but give it room to breathe. Perhaps the love you seek will arrive after you have learned that being alone is not the same as being unlovable. Perhaps the work you seek will grow from a skill you are only beginning to practice. Perhaps the peace you seek will not arrive because your problems disappear, but because you stop turning every problem into proof that life is against you. Perhaps what you want will come. Perhaps it will change. Perhaps something different will reveal why the original desire could not have carried you where your soul needed to go. You do not need to decide the ending today. For now, return to what is yours. Your breath is yours to notice. Your intention is yours to refine. Your words are yours to choose. Your boundaries are yours to honor. Your effort is yours to offer. The outcome belongs to a field of causes and conditions far greater than any single mind can control. Let this truth relieve you. You were never required to carry the entire universe upon your shoulders. You were only asked to awaken within the small part of life currently resting in your hands. Care for it. Be present with it. Then, when the moment asks you to release it, open your fingers with gratitude. The river does not lose itself by flowing forward. Neither will you. You may leave behind a version of yourself that survived by controlling everything. You may release an identity built around being needed, admired, pursued, or constantly productive. You may outgrow relationships that once felt inseparable from your future. But losing what no longer reflects your truth is not the same as losing yourself. Sometimes it is how you finally return to yourself. The river does not mourn every bend it leaves behind. It carries the memory of the mountains, the rain, and the stones within its movement, yet it does not attempt to flow backward. If it refused to continue because one landscape had been beautiful, it would never reach the sea. Your life also asks for movement, not hurried movement. Not movement born from panic, but the gentle willingness to stop demanding that yesterday become tomorrow. There are seasons when your deepest suffering comes not from what happened, but from your refusal to let the moment finish. The conversation ended, yet you continue it in your mind. The person departed, yet you keep arranging an imaginary future around their return. The opportunity passed, yet you compare every new possibility with the one that disappeared. You remain standing before an empty house, polishing the key. And because the key once opened something precious, you cannot imagine placing it down. But a key is useful only when the door still belongs to your path. There was once an elderly monk who kept a small garden behind a mountain temple. For many years, a magnificent plum tree stood at its center. Each spring, its white blossoms filled the courtyard with fragrance. Travelers came from distant villages simply to sit beneath its branches. The monk loved the tree deeply. One winter, A violent storm split its trunk. By spring, no blossoms appeared. The bark darkened, and the branches became brittle. The younger monks urged him to remove it, but he refused. "Perhaps it will bloom again," he said. For another year, he watered the dead roots. He tied the broken branches together. He protected the tree from wind and insects, even as the rest of the garden withered from neglect. One morning, the abbot joined him in the courtyard. "You have given this tree great love," the abbot said. The old monk nodded. "It gave beauty to so many people. And now? Now I am afraid that cutting it down would mean the beauty is gone forever." The abbot touched the weathered trunk. "The beauty has already entered everyone who rested beneath it," he said. "You do not preserve a season by refusing to let it end." The old monk began to weep. That afternoon, the monks carefully removed the tree. They used part of its wood to build a meditation bench and returned the smaller branches to the earth. In the space where the plum tree had stood, sunlight reached the soil for the first time in many years. The monk planted new seeds there. By summer, the garden was filled with herbs and small wildflowers. The plum tree never returned. Yet nothing it had given was lost. Its shade remained in memory. Its wood supported tired bodies during meditation. Its branches nourished the soil from which new life emerged. This is how letting go can become an act of gratitude. You do not need to declare that something was worthless simply because it ended. You do not need to turn love into hatred so that separation becomes easier. You do not need to erase every memory in order to move forward. You can say, "This mattered to me." You can say, "I wish it had lasted." You can say, "I am grateful for what was beautiful, honest about what was painful, and willing to accept that its season is complete." Such acceptance does not betray the past. It prevents the past from consuming the future. What is meant for you will not always be something you keep. Sometimes it will be something that awakens you and then departs. Its purpose may be fulfilled through the person you become afterward. A teacher does not remain beside the student forever. A bridge is not carried after the river has been crossed. A candle is not blamed because mourning eventually makes its flame unnecessary. The mind suffers when it confuses purpose with permanence. You may have met someone whose purpose was not to stay for the rest of your life, but to reveal how deeply you could feel. You may have entered a career whose purpose was not to become your final identity, but to teach you courage, discipline, or the cost of abandoning yourself. You may have pursued a dream that never reached completion, yet the pursuit developed abilities that now belong to a different path. Nothing sincere is entirely wasted. Even the road that ends can strengthen the feet that walked upon it. But this truth should not become an excuse to remain where you are being harmed. Do not tell yourself that every painful situation must continue until you discover some perfect lesson. Sometimes the lesson is the boundary. Sometimes the wisdom is leaving. Sometimes compassion means refusing to participate in another cycle of disrespect. The Buddha taught a path of clear seeing. Clear seeing does not decorate suffering. It recognizes what creates suffering and what helps bring suffering to an end. Ask yourself gently, does remaining here support awakening, or does it repeatedly require me to become smaller? Does this relationship allow honesty, or does it survive only through your silence? Does this ambition give meaning to your effort, or has it transformed your life into an endless punishment? Does this hope keep your heart open, or does it prevent you from accepting what another person has already shown you? The answers may not arrive immediately. Fear, attachment, and familiarity can disguise themselves as intuition. So observe the pattern, not only the promise. A promise describes what might happen. A pattern reveals what is happening. If words continually offer love while actions create confusion, trust the pattern. If an opportunity promises success, but repeatedly demands the surrender of your health and integrity, trust the pattern. If your mind tells you that one more sacrifice will finally earn respect, but every sacrifice has only invited another demand, trust the pattern. Wisdom does not require cynicism, it requires attention. You can remain open-hearted without closing your eyes. This is one of the most difficult balances on the spiritual path. Some people protect themselves by trusting no one. Others prove their kindness by ignoring every warning sign. But neither fear nor self-abandonment is freedom. True openness has boundaries. A temple has an entrance, but it also has walls. A garden receives sunlight and rain, but the gardener still removes what destroys its roots. Your heart can welcome love while refusing manipulation. It can offer forgiveness without restoring access. It can understand another person's pain without volunteering to become the place where that pain is repeatedly released. Compassion includes you. If your spirituality teaches you to care for everyone except yourself, it has become incomplete. The same gentleness you offer a suffering stranger must eventually be offered to the person who wakes inside your body each morning. Speak to that person with patience. Protect that person's peace. Allow that person to learn without constant humiliation. You have punished yourself long enough for not knowing what experience had not yet taught you. You made choices from the level of awareness you possessed at the time. Some of those choices caused pain. Where repair is possible, repair it. Where apology is needed, offer it. Where responsibility belongs to you, accept it without disguise. But responsibility and self-hatred are not the same. Responsibility says, I see what I did, and I will practice differently. Self-hatred says, because I did something unwise, I am unworthy of becoming wiser. One opens the path, the other blocks it. A seed does not refuse to grow because it once lay beneath the mud. It uses the darkness as a place from which to rise. You are allowed to rise, not by pretending the past never happened, but by refusing to repeat it unconsciously. Perhaps you stayed too long because you feared being alone. Now you can learn that solitude may contain dignity. Perhaps you chased approval because you did not trust your own value. Now you can practice choosing what remains meaningful even when no one applauds. Perhaps you forced opportunities because you believed life offered only one chance. Now you can cultivate patience while continuing to prepare. The past becomes wisdom when it changes your participation in the present. Otherwise, it remains only memory. So when an old pattern appears again, do not ask why you have not completely escaped it. Ask what different response is now possible. The same loneliness may visit you, but perhaps you no longer call the person who repeatedly wounded you. The same fear may arise, but perhaps you send the application anyway. The same desire for recognition may return, but perhaps you continue your work quietly instead of abandoning it. This is growth. It is not always the disappearance of the old feeling. Sometimes it is the birth of a new choice beside it. At first, the new choice may feel weak. The old habit has been rehearsed for years. It knows the roads through your mind. It arrives quickly, speaks confidently, and promises immediate relief. The new choice may be only a whisper. Wait before responding. Do not return. Rest. Tell the truth. Try once more. Walk away. Listen carefully. The voice of wisdom is often quiet because it does not need to frighten you into obedience. Fear shouts that everything must happen now. Wisdom reminds you that urgency and importance are not identical. Attachment says that this person is your only chance to be loved. Wisdom says that love requiring self-betrayal cannot give what your heart seeks. Comparison says that you are late. Wisdom asks whose clock you are following. Shame says that your mistakes have defined you. Wisdom says that awareness has already begun changing their meaning. return to the quiet voice. You may need to return 100 times in one day. That is not weakness. That is training. Each return deepens the path. Each pause weakens the automatic reaction. Each compassionate boundary teaches your nervous system that safety can exist without control. And slowly, you begin to carry yourself differently. You no longer enter every room wondering how to become acceptable. You become curious about whether the room is worthy of your sincerity. You no longer ask only, "Do they want me?" You also ask, "Can truth breathe here?" You no longer ask only, "Will this make me successful?" You ask, "Who will I become through pursuing it?" You no longer ask only, "How quickly can I get there?" You ask, "Can I travel this road without losing the peace I hope to find at its end?" These questions protect the sacredness of your journey, because what you receive is only part of your life. Who you become while receiving it matters just as much. There are victories that leave the heart empty. There are delays that deepen character. There are losses that restore dignity. There are ordinary days that contain more peace than the achievement you once believed would save you. Learn to measure your life by more than visible arrival. Measure it by the honesty of your choices, by the compassion in your speech, by the boundaries you maintain without hatred, by the number of times you return to presence after fear carries you away, by your willingness to remain tender without becoming available for harm, by your capacity to be grateful while something is here and graceful when its season changes. This is a richer form of success, and perhaps this is the attraction you were seeking all along. Not the power to command every desired object, person, or circumstance toward you, but the wisdom to create conditions in which what is healthy can remain, and the clarity to release what cannot. You become less interested in forcing life to obey you. You become more devoted to meeting life awake. Then something remarkable occurs. Your energy, once scattered across imagined futures, begins returning to the present. The hours spent rehearsing rejection become available for practice. The strength used to chase unavailable people becomes available for healing. The attention trapped in comparison becomes available for creating your own path. You feel lighter, not because every burden has disappeared, but because you have stopped carrying what was never yours to control. And with that recovered energy, you begin to live. You prepare the soil. You send the message that truth requires. You close the door that wisdom has already asked you to close. You practice the skill. You care for your body. You allow new people to reveal themselves slowly. You stop demanding immediate certainty from beginnings that need time to unfold. This is patient participation. It is neither helpless waiting nor desperate pursuit. It is the art of taking the next clear step while leaving the horizon open. A traveler walking at night does not need the moon to reveal the entire road. One patch of light is enough. When he reaches it, another becomes visible. Your life often unfolds in the same way. You want the full map because you believe certainty will protect you from pain. But no map can guarantee that the weather will remain unchanged. Wisdom gives you something more valuable than certainty. It gives you the ability to respond. If the rain comes, you seek shelter. If the road closes, you look again. If you become tired, you rest. If you discover that you were mistaken, you change direction without turning the correction into shame. Flexibility is not failure. A tree that refuses to bend in the storm may break. The bamboo survives because strength and responsiveness live together within it. Be like the bamboo, rooted in your values, flexible in your expectations, open to the wind but not carried away by every gust. You do not need to know exactly how your life will unfold. You need to know what you will not abandon while it unfolds. Do not abandon your dignity for attention. Do not abandon your health for achievement. Do not abandon your honesty for acceptance. Do not abandon the present for a future that continually moves farther away. And above all, do not abandon yourself because someone else failed to recognize your value. Their inability to see is not proof that there was nothing worth seeing. A flower blooming in an empty forest does not become less beautiful because no traveler passes nearby. Its beauty is not created by observation. It is expressed through its nature. Your worth is deeper than applause. Recognition may come, and you may receive it gratefully, but do not place the roots of your identity inside another person's changing opinion. Return them to the earth of awareness. Let your life grow from there. Then, whether what you desire arrives tomorrow, years from now, in an unexpected form, or not at all, you will not have postponed your existence while waiting. You will have loved. You will have learned. You will have offered something sincere. You will have witnessed mornings that could never be repeated. You will have become more awake. And that awakening will not be a consolation prize for the life you failed to receive. It will be the life itself. And when this truth settles deeply within you, you will stop standing at the door of your own existence, waiting for permission to enter. You will understand that life is not beginning later. It is not beginning when someone chooses you. It is not beginning when the money arrives, when the pain disappears, when the answer becomes clear, or when the world finally recognizes what you carry inside. Life is happening now. It is happening in this breath. In this unfinished chapter, in this quiet moment, when you are learning to loosen your grip upon everything you once believed you had to control. Perhaps you came here hoping to discover a secret that would draw everything you desire toward you. But the deeper secret is not about making the universe obey your wishes. It is about becoming so present, so clear, and so rooted in your own awareness that you no longer destroy your peace while pursuing what you want. You still plant the seed. You still water the soil. You still rise each morning and take the next honest step. But you no longer kneel beside the earth in despair, demanding that the seed become a flower before sunset. You trust the work. You respect the season. You allow what is growing beneath the surface to remain unseen for a while. This is not weakness. This is mature faith. It is the faith of the farmer who cannot see the roots but continues caring for the field. It is the faith of the traveler who cannot see the entire mountain path but continues toward the next patch of light. It is the faith of the wounded heart that chooses tenderness again without surrendering its wisdom. There will still be difficult days. There will be mornings when uncertainty returns before you have even opened your eyes. There will be moments when another person's success makes you question your timing. There will be nights when the silence of what has not arrived feels heavier than all the wisdom you have gathered. When those moments come, do not believe that you have lost the path. The path is not lost because fear appears. The path is remembered when you meet fear without allowing it to choose your direction. Return to your breath. Return to your body. Return to the small part of life that is truly yours to care for. Ask yourself, what can I do with love today? Not, how can I control the ending? Not, how can I make someone recognize my value? Not, how can I force the world to move at the speed of my fear? Simply ask, what can I do with love today? Perhaps you can rest. Perhaps you can begin. Perhaps you can forgive yourself. Perhaps you can close a door. Perhaps you can give someone an honest answer. Perhaps you can sit quietly and allow your heart to grieve without trying to repair it immediately. Whatever the answer is, let it be enough for this moment. The next moment will bring its own invitation. This is how a peaceful life is created, not through one magnificent transformation, but through countless moments in which you choose awareness instead of panic, dignity instead of desperation, and patience instead of force. One breath, one boundary, one truthful decision, one seed planted without a guarantee. Over time, these small choices become your character, and your character becomes the atmosphere of your life. People will feel the difference, not because you have learned a technique to make them chase you, but because you are no longer asking them to fill the emptiness created by abandoning yourself. Opportunities will feel different. Not because every door will open, but because a closed door will no longer convince you that the entire world has rejected you. Success will feel different. Not because you will stop desiring it, but because you will be able to receive it without becoming imprisoned by the fear of losing it. Love will feel different. Not because it will never hurt, but because you will no longer confuse love with uncertainty, possession, or the continuous sacrifice of your peace. You will begin to recognize what is truly aligned with you. It will not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it will arrive quietly, as a conversation that feels safe, as work that gives meaning to your effort, as a morning in which your mind no longer reaches immediately for an old wound, as the courage to say no without explaining yourself endlessly, as the unexpected realization that you have not thought about the person who hurt you for several hours. Healing often enters without announcing itself. One day, you simply notice that what once controlled your entire inner world has become only one part of your story. The memory remains, but the chain is gone. The scar remains, but the wound is no longer open. The past remains true, but it no longer determines what you believe you deserve. And perhaps, in that moment, you will understand that something precious did come to you. It came as freedom. It came as clarity. It came as the return of your own energy. It came as the person you became when you finally stopped forcing what could not meet you in peace. So, do not be afraid of the space opening before you. Do not rush to fill it with the first thing that resembles what you lost. Let the space remain sacred. Let it breathe. Let it teach you what your life feels like when it is no longer organized around fear. In that quiet space, new possibilities can take root. Some will stay. Some will pass. Some will transform you without becoming permanent. Welcome each one with awareness. Receive without clinging. Love without possessing. Work without worshiping the outcome. Rest without guilt. Move without panic. And release without hatred. This is the art of living with open hands. Before we end this journey, take one final slow breath. As you breathe in, silently say, "I trust the path that is unfolding." And as you breathe out, I release the need to force it. Again, breathe in, "I am worthy before anything arrives." Breathe out, "I allow what is not for me to leave in peace." Remain here for one moment. Feel how little effort is required to breathe. Life is already entering you. Life is already leaving you. Receiving and releasing. Receiving and releasing. This ancient rhythm has been teaching you from the moment you were born. You cannot inhale forever. You cannot keep everything that enters your life. To receive another breath, you must release the one before it. Perhaps peace has always been hidden inside this simple truth. If these words have brought calm or clarity to your heart, subscribe to Buddhist wisdom and become part of this peaceful community. Share this video with someone who has been exhausting themselves by forcing a door that may no longer belong to their path. And in the comments, write, "I trust what comes in peace." Let these words become more than a sentence. Let them become a promise to yourself, a promise that you will continue planting worthy seeds, a promise that you will take responsibility for your choices without trying to control the entire universe, a promise that you will stop calling self-abandonment love, a promise that you will honor what arrives, grieve what leaves, and remain awake through every changing season. You do not need to chase your life. You need to become present enough to live it. You do not need to force every door. You need the wisdom to recognize which doors invite your growth and which ones require you to betray yourself merely to enter. You do not need everything you desire in order to be whole. You need to remember the wholeness from which your wisest desires can arise. Walk gently from this moment. There is no need to hurry. The river is still moving. The seed is still opening beneath the earth. The dawn is already approaching, even if the night has not yet released the sky. Continue preparing. Continue trusting. Continue listening. What is healthy will not ask you to destroy yourself in order to receive it. What is true will not require endless illusion to survive. And what belongs to your awakening will find a way to teach you, whether it arrives as a gift, a delay, a redirection, or a release. May you have the patience to let life unfold. May you have the courage to act when action is needed. May you have the wisdom to stop when force has replaced faith. May you welcome what comes without losing yourself inside it. May you release what leaves without believing that your life has become empty. And may you always remember, the flower does not chase the bee. The moon does not struggle to be reflected upon the water. The sunrise does not beg the darkness to disappear. Each one simply becomes fully what it is. And in the right conditions, life responds. Become still. Become clear. Become faithful to the truth within you. Then walk forward with open hands. What is meant to meet you will not need to be held by force, and whatever does not remain will never take your wholeness with it.